Okay, so it seems like we have an update on the Takahata101 situation. Now, obviously, you guys know that I've been covering this, literally recently, whenever he made a post talking about the fact that, he's aware that there's several incredibly serious allegations against him that has been circulating privately over the last several months. One that is simply false. He obviously was talking about that and how his lawyers have been involved and how this person was not answering them, which was pretty interesting. And obviously, if you don't know the history of Takahata, you guys can go back and watch the other videos if you want to. But essentially, he was accused of some pretty serious stuff. Now, obviously, we don't exactly know what that was because he never really said exactly. Obviously, we did have a post from Adora Bunny saying he did some really horrible stuff, including, obviously, the R word, which is pretty crazy. But it was Adora Bunny trying to get out of her situation. So, again, I think that one is to not be really taken seriously. But obviously, we know something has gone on in the background that caused Takahata to go on a long hiatus. And now it seems like he's come out with a Google Doc talking about his time with a person called MistressDoomVT and says, trigger warning, emotional abuse, gaslighting, slander, defamatory accusations, drug use, accusations of assault. So yeah, obviously this is probably referring to the person that they've been trying to contact. Now maybe it's not, I don't think he says, maybe he says in the document, but again, just to kind of make that clear, and I'm guessing this is what a lot of his friends have been seeing as well, the kind of accusations towards him. So let's go through this and take a look. Obviously they say, this has been one of the saddest and most difficult periods of my life. I have been hugely hurt by a wonderful person who I've loved for over 9 years. I've been the target of allegations, speculation, ill-informed judgment, and malicious rumor, all of which has been untrue, and which fortunately I do have evidence to disprove. This one special person may have been the source for this, but they carry no blame. Others who have fed jackal-like on the scraps that they found perhaps do. For a while I was confused and angry. I could not understand how something like this could spring from a long-trusting, long-standing relationship, but now I think I understand. Sometimes in life, events occur which can rip away the protective layers surrounding our emotions. Sometimes these heal, but sometimes they often stay raw and exposed, close to the surface of our lives. Scientists may describe this as PTSD, but it is more than that. There's a beauty to there too. If you know or love someone like this, you'll know what I mean. Their emotions are right there, so close to the surface. When they open themselves, their hearts, their feelings to you, it's a true act of love. What you experience from them is genuine and pure. It can't be fabricated. It's the truth, emotional truth. But there's more than one kind of truth. There's the truth of feelings, of emotions, of the heart. But there's also the truth of the hard facts and mundane reality, and sometimes they clash and collide. These hearts cannot accept unacceptable, even when the facts demand that they should. That I found the difference between untruth and a lie. A lie is a deliberate falsehood, cold, deliberate, rational. But an untruth can spring from a deeper place, from a heart that has no place for the reality it's being asked to acknowledge. Instead, it insists on its own truth. For many of us in the VTuber world, I think it's a constructed reality can seem safer and a happier place. And I think that this world provides shelter for many whose other lives are raw and vulnerable realities. I've suffered mental turmoil myself, and have found many of the relationships here to be more fulfilling, meaningful, and safer than many I've experienced in my outside world. This person that I've loved for so many years came into my life before my entry into the VTuber world, back when we met at a convention and we built the truth of our relationship together. I thought we knew each other deeply and truly, but maybe we never really knew the other us living our other lives. But maybe I never really knew the other life that she was leading. When finally we came together, there was perhaps a harsh collision of two worlds, a clash of realities. I had not seen or expected or understood this, and I failed to allow it. We'd worked on and planned to arrange a meeting. It should be joyful, tender, erotic, happy, and open, but the reality was different. I think I did not belong in this, her other world. There, our openness and the strength of our feelings became simply a simple vulnerability. She found no place for me in that world, but nor did she want to hurt or reject the person she had loved all these years. So she allowed a new truth to be shaped, a truth that made sense of her response, her feelings, a truth that did not match the facts of what happened, but was true in her heart. I had now been found by her to be a different kind of person, a person guilty of the kind of insensitivity and even sexual abuse that has no place in the world world of 9 years of our previous relationship, love, and shared intimacy. So this is what was said. Implied, suggested to others in the world. It is untrue, but it sprang from a heart. Others fed hungry on it for questionable personal reasons. But I do owe the truth to my friends, and so I've set out as clearly as I can the details of what happened over those few days of our meeting. If it reads a little clumsy, I make no apologies. It is based on simple records, communications, notes. I do not want to polish or refine this. I simply wanted to share the truth, but it is underpinned by evidence, solid, written, and now shared with my professional advisors. So obviously, as you guys know, Takahata has been in communication with lawyers, so obviously the lawyers have probably checked through a lot of the stuff that he's put up to kind of like verify, hey, you can put this up or you can't put this up, whatever. So obviously, yeah, that is something to bear in mind. And obviously this first little part, before we get onto all of the evidence and stuff, it's a very poetic kind of response, I'd say, to this. From what I've gathered from it, this person who obviously they're talking about Mistress Doom, by the way, MistressDoomVT is the person they're talking about. It seems like they had some kind of relationship with her for 9 years. I'm not sure if it seems to me like a kind of, you know, a relationship, like a loving relationship, right? But maybe it's something different. Again, that's what it seems like to me from what I've seen and from what he is saying here. So again, I think it is based off of that. Now, obviously, they go into the clash of two worlds. They say, I've known EJ, aka MistressDoomVT, for 9 years. I first met her at a convention in Newcastle. We hung out a lot during the weekend and spent a lot of time together, including getting Subway sandwiches at 3 a.m. after drinking, dancing, and playing board games at the convention. During that time, I could tell I was crushing on her, but I didn't share this until later. Later, she told me she also had feelings for me, but we did not act on those feelings during the trip. After that, we began an online romantic and sexual relationship for a while. They said we kept in communication on again, off again for years. It was mutual at a mutual friend's wedding in November of 2019 when I saw EJ again in person for the second time. To be honest, I had thought she hated me for communication breaking it off. So when I saw that she was at the wedding, I was nervous. In fact, when I got there, she was also arriving. So I bit the bullet and said hello and waved to her. We got to talking that day, and I found out that she was also worried that I may hate her because she'd stopped communicating with me. So we laughed it off. That weekend, we spent a great deal of time dancing, having a long conversation over several hours on the steps of the manor where the wedding was taking place. At the moment, I knew absolutely that the reality was that I still had feelings for her, but I was dating somebody else, and that is why we did nothing. We went to our separate rooms that night, and although I was already in a relationship, I knew that deep down that I had deep feelings for her. They said several months after the wedding, I ended my relationship with my partner at the time to pursue a non-monogamous lifestyle, which allowed me to interact freely with EJ. During this time, EJ and I talked and engaged in the very intimate conversations we had. We discussed how we lusted after each other, how it's hard that we lived so far away from each other. Throughout COVID, our relationship was on again, off again, but our constant communication did not start again until we entered VTubing. Which I was already working in before she also entered it, during which we were talking constantly. From there, our relationship grew stronger than it ever had before, and she started to do work on my channel and my streams, helping out with organizing. EJ proved herself to be extremely talented at an organizational structure for my streams. So yeah, it seems like Mistress Doom was obviously helping out Takahata in the background with a lot of stuff, which obviously is pretty common, with a lot of relationships and everything like that. So again, that's pretty normal. I say our relationship grew into an actual romance, and it lasted several years, during which she confessed to me that she was in love with me, and I confessed to her that I felt the same. So far as I felt and believed, we were in a romantic relationship together. This is anticipation PDF. I think this is the link. Oh yeah, here we go. So there was actually a link to a PDF of some of the texts that they had saying, again, I'm not going to read those out because I just, obviously I just saw what that was saying, but, you can see there was a clear, obviously, romance going on between the two at the time. So again, that is the evidence that he has provided there, this whole 12 pages. And obviously, I'll leave a link to the what do you call it, doc, if you guys want to read it yourself and go through the evidence in a bit more detail if you really want to do that. But obviously that is pretty much just proving the fact that, you know, they were in a bit of a romantic kind of, you know, relationship at that time. So she was one of the few people in the world that I spoke to constantly and trusted. I saw her as a partner. We shared multiple years of intimacy remotely, and we spoke often of me visiting her or her visiting me. Finally, I bit the bullet and decided to book a ticket in April 2024 to see her at the end of August 2024, which coincided with the event AEW All In. So obviously that's a wrestling event in London, to share with her something that I really enjoy. She expressed her excitement that I had actually bit the bullet, bought the tickets, and arranged my visit. She said no one has ever done something like this for her before. And we talked about the dates that you know, I would be there, and discussed where I'd stay in London and what we would get up to. She even stated that she would meet me at the airport and that she was very excited to see me. EJ suggested staying closer to Wembley, which is obviously the area where it's at. Obviously, here is more kind of obviously evidence behind this. It's 26 pages, so obviously we're not going to, you know, read through all this. I don't want to kind of, you know, drag this on longer than it needs to be, but obviously this is more evidence kind of backing up his statements, which is great to have here. Again, this is literally just them talking about, you know, the trip to London and everything like that. So again, if you guys want to go read that, then, you know, it will be down in the link. Again, it's 26 pages of text kind of backing up what he was saying here. So just to give you guys the context, they say a few days before the trip, she told me that she had a medical issue with one of her animals and she might not be able to come out. The originally intended plans might change, but in her last correspondence, she stated that she was planning to come out the night that I arrived, which eased my personal anxiety as I'd be alone otherwise. She expressed apprehension about being in London, away from her home, but nothing she said made clear the extent to which would have been an issue for her. And because I did not know about the severity of some episodes she had experienced in the past, and her resultant deep unease about being away from home, I didn't perhaps pay as much attention to her apprehension as might have done otherwise, as the severity was not impressed upon me beforehand. She would be only an hour away from her home, but every communication we shared leading up to my departure was warm and positive from both sides. They say, our correspondence was very personal and intimate, and she told me that she'd had mental health issues which she battled through her life. However, when she talked about her mental health issues, she never indicated how severe they were. But I never questioned this, and I did not pry into the specifics of her illness, so I was never aware of the severity of the issues she faced until I arrived in England. As someone who has mental health issues too, I can understand fighting your own demons, and I would never want to disrespect her for this. In fact, I too have PTSD regarding flying. Okay. It said, I told her repeatedly that I was concerned about the travel in flight. She asked if I had medication, sedatives to be specific, and I told her I did. I took Ativan, a new medication to help calm my nerves while flying. During the trip over, I took over double the intended dosage as the flight was incredibly turbulent. But when the time for our meeting arrived, a different reality cut in. When I landed, everything changed immediately. I realized increased lethargy and was disorientated and experienced increased anxiety. I was in the Uber to the hotel when I realized, received a text from EJ saying that she wouldn't be coming until likely Saturday evening. The reason she gave was that her dog had an ear infection. What confused me about this is that multiple people in her home who could take care of her animals, as she had informed me that in the past she had these people that had done so. Of course, this was disappointing, as we had agreed that she would come Thursday or Friday at the latest, which is, yeah, kind of weird, because obviously, you know, I can understand that your dog is ill, but usually whenever there's an ear infection, I feel like that's not a super, you know, one that really affects them. You know, obviously it's bad, but it's not like, I doubt it's fatal, but again, maybe there's some other issue there, which I think is pretty interesting. Again, he does back that up with even more text of this happening. So again, there is a ton of proof here, obviously proving everything that he's saying. Again, great that he's included all of these, because it does just back up his points even more. As he continued to, so it said, excuses once landed, but as we continued to talk about this, she kept saying that she was afraid of coming to London because it was far from her bubble, and was asking me to come out instead. She pivoted and stated that she couldn't come out for the full allotment of the days that she agreed to, and was pushing hard that I come out to get a hotel in her hometown and visit her instead. I had known EJ and had been in love with her for years, and I thought the bubble nerves were the only issue here. I didn't expect them to be a real problem. At that stage, I had no reason to realize that a fear of being away from home was as severe as it in fact was. I was worried and disappointed. I had just traveled, 20 hours from British Columbia to be with her. This had been planned and agreed upon for months, but now it's beginning to seem like she was making excuses, including her animals as a reason not to hang out with me. After a long text conversation, we called one another and spoke on the phone at length. She said that she was simply anxious about leaving her bubble and traveling by herself. She suggested that I might book another hotel closer to her. I expressed a reluctance in money needlessly being spent. It was only an hour away. We mutually agreed for her to come out that night, and I travel to pick her up to allay any fear of her traveling by herself. She said she appreciated the gesture, and she even paid for the train ticket for me to travel out where she was. Obviously, they show evidence of that too, of them purchasing the train ticket. Obviously, it's up by Cambridge or somewhere, which again is pretty close to London. To be fair, it's not super far. It's quite an easy kind of journey to get there and back. So again, just coming from a British guy here who knows this kind of stuff, they say. But when we met, she seemed like a different person, and I attributed this to her anxiety about traveling. She didn't even smile. This was not the person I knew before, who had met at the convention or the wedding. This felt like a different reality. We chatted during the ride back, and I thanked her for coming out. No point during our travel or in the hotel did she suggest that she was apprehensive about intimacy with me. When we got to the hotel room, she said that she wasn't in the right headspace yet, but now that the travel was over, she would chill out. She had said that once the travel concluded, her anxiety would calm down, and that once the travel was over, she would chill out. We then went and got snacks at the store around the corner and returned to the hotel room to watch TV together. I did not press her in any way. We sometimes held hands in bed together. I fell asleep as I was exhausted from traveling for over 24 hours. At some point, she woke me up with her hand full of unknown pills and joked that she had to take these to live, but I did not know what these meds were or why she was taking them, and she did not tell me. Gradually, into the night, we grew closer and more intimate. She didn't betray a sense of being uncomfortable or with being intimate. I asked for consent for every sexual act, and she gave me consent. 3 separate consents for 3 separate acts. That during the intimate act, things were said that conveyed to me that everything was fine and there was nothing to worry about. I fell asleep afterwards. I'm not sure when she fell asleep. The morning after, she woke me up and said that she wanted to go home towards the end of the day and returned on a different day. Because being away from home had been more of a trial than she'd expected. However, she impressed upon me that she still wanted to go to the British Museum before she left. I told her I appreciated her coming out all the same, and I understood due to how clearly anxious she had been. I didn't want to pressure her that day. That day we went to the British Museum, as this was the activity she truly wanted to do, and we talked about the most. She left the British Museum to head home via a train after we checked out some stuff at the British Museum. Again, even more kind of proof behind this. Obviously, as you can see, there is them talking about it. And yeah, again, obviously, these are some of the texts. These are just pretty much texts that are backing up a lot of the points that are going on right now. So obviously, they're saying, I went my separate direction. She had left a travel suitcase and several items in the room. As she told me earlier, she would come back for them later. Throughout the day, I texted her to make sure that she got home okay. She apologized for anxiety getting the better of her and expressed appreciation for how I was there for her and how I handled the situation. When I expressed regret over how I planned the trip, she stressed that the fact that her anxiety had gotten the better of her, but she was still very much wanted to see me. Furthermore, she again invited me to come out to her hometown. We talked again about having me get a hotel near where she lives if I came. Later, she texted me again saying that she would prefer just a friendo hangout and not so many hugs going forwards. She also shared the extent of her past trauma, panic attacks, and PTSD. I listened to her history of abuse. I felt horrible for her as she went into detail. I understood and worried I might have pushed her too far into getting her to leave her bubble to visit me. So yeah, obviously, what kind of comes across to me is that she was very troubled. She has some trauma and things that have gone on, which obviously I think Takahata just didn't really realize as much. Which it's obviously okay, but again, obviously, I think the acts that follow were the things that really have, caused a lot of the problems. They said the next day she sent an unambiguous breakup text, expanding upon her text from the previous day. This was a shock to me as I was heartbroken to my core. However, I felt the romantic split was amicable and I was hopeful that our long-standing friendship was still strong. Despite being thoroughly devastated, I told her I understood and respected where she was coming from. She appreciated this and told me that she still wanted me to come visit her at her hometown during my trip. Obviously, yeah, there's the evidence as well of them clarifying, them being a friend and things like that. So obviously, yeah, it's like a kind of breakup text there. They said, then we talked about her coming to the AEW show and asked her if she was still comfortable with doing so. We went back and forth and she said that she was worried about getting home in time. I'd already said that I did not in any way expect her to stay the night, as being away from home would cause more undue stress. I told her I was willing to leave the show early to help her get the train back. I said I was adamant the whole time that I did not want her to do anything that she wasn't comfortable with, and I did not want her to feel obligated, as her anxiety was now clearly debilitating. The next day in the afternoon, she arrived at the hotel with one of her roommates/carers. I was happy with this because it helped her anxiety. We decided that she would pack up her stuff and we would leave it with the front desk and she could grab it on the way out later in the evening. We all went out to the wrestling event, but when we got to the stadium, there was a fair crowd of people, and I could tell she was starting to get really, really, really nervous. So I asked her if she honestly felt comfortable going to the show at all. Just as I'd asked her many times leading up to this, she replied that there were too many people and she needed to go home. I was naturally disappointed, but did not take it personally, as her anxiety was clearly overwhelming. So she left with her friend, who would wait nearby till she wanted to head home, so she would have someone to travel with. I saw the show alone. And yeah, obviously there's the attachment going to the event. Again, these are more texts and stuff about going to the event, and everything's gone as well. And then also the kind of them leaving the event and stuff. So again, obviously, yeah, there's him at the AEW event. So again, yeah, that's a lot of the evidence behind that. But throughout all of this, EJ has been inviting me to spend time in her hometown, and she said that she and her roommates were willing to pay for a hotel there. Obviously, again, more evidence behind that. Had the events of our night been together, been as she claimed, this enthusiasm to meet again would have been a complete contradiction, but by this point I wasn't sure. I wanted to visit her home given how much she pulled back on her plans lately, so I told her that I would think about it. So the next day, after AEW All In, I asked her to remind me about the plan for me going to her hometown. She said yet again that she would like me to visit, but now since it was past Monday, the plans would need to change. We would not be seeing our friends and animals. Instead, we'll be visiting historical sites with me one-on-one. And obviously, that's, yeah, again, more evidence behind that. Again, this will all be in the kind of description if you guys want to look at it. It said, at this point, heartbroken and depressed, I did not feel comfortable hanging out one-on-one with her. I decided to go back to British Columbia and cut my trip short. EJ seemed supportive and encouraged me to do what's best for my mental health. But once I arrived back in my home, I was horrified to receive a message from her accusing me of sexual misconduct, since she had been sedated and could not give consent at all. And obviously, this is the accusation PDF which has come out, which is pretty crazy. You know, saying, I know you're super stressed on the trip. I do not wish to work on your voice channel any longer. Please take this to myself and Jimmy resigning effective immediately. No, this is a big one. What happened on Thursday really wasn't okay. So again, obviously, yeah, accusing him of sexual misconduct, right? He said, I was shocked as I never knew she was sedated. She told me that she needed pills to live. I thought she was exhausted as I had been. I did not think she was intoxicated, let alone incapable of giving consent. I went into this thinking this woman loved me. She'd encouraged me to believe this, to have her pull back from me devastated me. I had been understanding and accepted when she said that she wanted less intimacy and wanted to be friends instead, no matter how much it broke my heart. But now she was making this allegation which I knew was simply untrue. I could not understand what was happening. So I went over the event of those days in my mind. This had been a sad and difficult time, with conflicting messages and mixed signals, but I knew that I had asked for and received her consent at every stage of intimacy. She clearly had been wrestling with issues and anxiety, but she had explained that and I had believed that these were related to her fear of being away from home. These had not been presented as issues with being with me. She did not at any point suggest that she had an issue with being intimate until after the fact. I wish she'd been clearer and more honest with me about the specificity of her issues and what her limits were. This was a terrible moment of failing to communicate properly. Yes, I misread the severity of the situation and I'm profoundly devastated. I'm still processing this heartbreak at the same time, and I wouldn't wish this upon anybody. We have both clearly been hurt by miscommunication. Said, but at this time I was profoundly shocked and filled with sadness after my visit. 5 months later, EJ began sharing these claims with several of our mutual friends. She alleged that I sexually assaulted her and that I coerced her into being intimate after she had expressed a desire to simply remain friends. These claims simply did not align with the reality of our relationship, and I still have the written messages to prove this. Her versions of events also altered the timeline of our trip planning and omitting key context, such as the fact that we've been on and off relationship for 9 years, during which time we'd met twice in person and shared many intensely sexual interactions, virtually online and through text leading up to this trip. Friends of mine gave me insight into what was being said once this became apparent. I'm fortunate to have friends who have known me for many years and who questioned the accuracy of what's being told. With their permission, I'm sharing some of the messages and Discord exchanges that they sent with me, which reflects their perspective and support and help provide a fuller picture of the situation. And obviously this is the other Google Doc, which is containing a lot of the evidence of them talking to people, for example, like Bo Sheep. I think this is literally just Bo Sheep. Yeah, okay. So obviously they kind of discuss the allegations and stuff as well. So again, that was a long read, but that's actually quite shorter than some of the ones we've actually seen in the past. But yeah, I mean, to be fair, Takahata, you know, he does a good job at explaining all of that there. I mean, you know, you can see exactly, you know, what has gone on. He provides all the evidence as possible, and it seems like, you know, he really wants to, you know, get this out there and to kind of like clear his name, which honestly, you know, from seeing all of this, I honestly think that, you know, he is in the right here. But I don't want to say anything to say that he is in the right or he isn't in the right, because again, you know, maybe there's some other kind of you know, things. Maybe for example, MistressDoom can provide some evidence as well, which again would be interesting to see if that does happen or not. But again, obviously he says that, you know, his lawyers have been getting ghosted by the people that have been spreading this, whether that is MistressDoom or other people that have been spreading stuff from MistressDoom, right? And obviously he said, I know I originally said I wanted to protect this individual due to concern for her mental health. However, due to the recent events and the fact that she's continued to use other creators to tell her story, be it grotesque misrepresentations of the facts, I'm now being forced to name her. I need to protect myself and those who have been dragged into this situation. So yeah, it's a pretty, you know, it's a tough one to kind of look at here, but it does seem like obviously, you know, you need to be careful whenever it comes to this kind of stuff. And luckily, I think Takahata has all of the right screenshots and evidence behind all of this to prove himself innocent, right? But you know, obviously, if that was anybody else and they didn't have any proof or there was no text, you could have ended up in the complete wrong direction. Obviously, that's why, you know, me personally and other creators as well are very kind of apprehensive of interacting with people without obviously a lot of kind of people watching you, you know, because else, you know, you fall into stuff like this where people can accuse you to your friends of some stuff. Now, obviously, we saw some friends, obviously, I think, believe in this kind of evidence, so it'd be interesting to see how they react to it, and obviously, I will keep you guys up to date if there's any reaction from them, and after this has all come out, because I'm assuming that obviously he's only told some of his friends about what really happened, so again, I don't know how much you know, has been said behind the scenes. But obviously, a lot of people saying, you know, I'm sorry you had to go through all of this. You know, lots of people saying, something must have changed given the situation in the UK. They're separate altogether. I don't know why they're bringing in the UK stuff here. The UK pretty much has nothing to do with it apart from being the area that they were at. Again, it literally doesn't matter. I don't know why they're bringing that up. So I'm so sorry this happened. And obviously, a lot of these people essentially, you know, saying, you know, we're with you essentially. So yeah, I mean, that's the full document. Obviously, you guys can make up your mind what you think about that. And as I said, I'll keep you guys up to date if there's any kind of responses, you know, any reactions from friends and stuff like that. But yeah, pretty crazy situation and pretty, you know, what do you call it? I don't know, interesting document. I mean, it's crazy. But yeah, for me, you know, I think Takahata has definitely provided a lot of evidence, a lot of kind of stuff there, which makes me believe him. But as I said, you know, I like to keep an open mind whenever it comes to stuff. So again, if nothing comes out, then hey, you know, maybe he was right. But again, you know, obviously to me, it seems like a lot of this is correct, but we've had situations where it's turned on its head before. So I don't want to say stuff, you know, definitively. But anyways, if you guys did enjoy this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Yeah, and I'll see you guys in the next one. That's all. See ya.